Now, you've all heard about Hostess brands going under, right? They're going bankrupt. Twinkies, Ho-Hos, etc. Well, their management obviously is going to suffer because of that, because they're losers. I mean, they're failures. They're bankrupt. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that, right? Wrong again, Bob. They will be getting bonuses of $1.75 million. Bonuses. Bonuses. Can you imagine you run your company into the ground and somebody comes and gives you a $1.75 million bonus? Insanity, man. In fact, it's actually not even legal. According to the law, federal bankruptcy law prohibits payment of retention bonuses to executives for sticking with a troubled firm except in extraordinary circumstances. The only thing extraordinary in these circumstances is how bad they screwed up the company. Now, you're probably thinking, look, if management is getting something good here, probably they're doing the same thing for the workers, right? Of course, none of you were thinking that. Here's what's happening to the 18,500 workers. Fired. Gone. Shockingly enough, they will not be receiving bonuses. Now, here's how the executive class has robbed us blind over the last 30 years or so. In fact, a little bit longer. Here, let me show you this graph. This is amazing. It's my favorite graph of all time. The yellow line is for productivity. So productivity, sky high, rising. Great job, American workers. But that blue line and the red line are average hourly compensation and average hourly wage. Those are the salaries that you guys are getting. What has happened to that? Flatlined. Flatline. So you are not being compensated for your productivity. Instead, it's all going to the executives. And even if they bankrupt the company, they get bonuses anyway. And that's what's making so many workers across this country so mad, rightfully so. That's why we're seeing strikes at Walmart, and now we're seeing strikes at fast food restaurants. Anna Kasparian has more on that.
Jake, the fast food industry is a $200 billion industry, so you would assume that since it's so profitable, they would at least pay their workers a decent wage. But of course not. An organization known as Fast Food Forward is mobilizing fast food workers so they can protest for better wages and to be able to unionize. In fact, let's take a look at some of these fast food workers protesting in front of a Burger King.
What's outrageous? Fast food wages. What's disgusting? Union busted. What's outrageous? Union busted. What's disgusting? Union busted. What's disgusting? Union busted. Can't hear you, New York. What's disgusting? Union busted. Come on out. We got your back. Come on out. We got your back.
I love that. And keep in mind, this is the first time the fast food workers have come together to protest for fair wages. And also, the median wage for a fast food service worker is about $8.90. However, considering New York City has a minimum wage of $7.25, a lot of the workers are paid just that. So, unfortunately, some of them, even though they're working 30 to 40 hours a week, they still need to depend on government assistance just to make ends meet. In fact, let's take a look at a video by Fast Food Forward explaining the situation.
My name is China Scott. I've been working at McDonald's for 10 months right now.
I'm Joshua Williams. I've been working at Wendy's for a year and 2 months now.
I make only $7.25 an hour.
After taxes and everything, I see no more than $2.20. Most of that little money I have every week goes towards my son and transportation and food throughout the week.
That's my goal, is to get out the shelter. But I can't get out the shelter with a $200 check.
Now, Harold Miller, who is a key player in the attempt to unionize fast food employees, joins us on the show. Cenk, why don't you take it from here?
All right, thanks, Anna. By the way, as we get to Harold here, is there a better chant than what's disgusting? Union busting? Harold, did you come up with that?
Yeah. No, I did not. But that's creative, though.
You should take credit for it. I like it. Harold Miller, of course, organizer for New York Communities for Change. So, Harold, with the strike, what are your objectives? What are you looking for?
Well, for the strike today, it was a strike against unfair labor practices by these fast food corporations. They have interfered with workers having the right to voice and address issues at the workplace, such as wages, conditions, respect. These corporate bosses are already clamping down at a lot of our workers, threatening to fire them. And so that's why we took this dramatic step today to say that enough is enough, that low-wage workers like fast food workers are going to step up and fight back.
So how much do you want their wages to be on average?
Well, we are calling for $15 an hour. You know, as you were saying in the previous segment, you have Costco workers making $17 an hour. So these corporations can afford it. And the people that we're working with, these are not kids. These are adults who have to take care of families. They have to put their kids through school. But we have folks who live in homeless shelters. They're on food stamps and other means of public assistance. And so $7.25 doesn't cut it, especially in New York City.
So that's interesting. And, you know, oftentimes you'll hear corporations saying, well, we can't. But let me show you their profits. So this is Walmart, Yum Brands, which is Taco Bell, et cetera, Pizza Hut, and then McDonald's. Their profits are up 23%, 45%, and for McDonald's, 130%. So what do you mean you can't afford it? Of course you can afford it. And so what I want the audience to understand is that they pay such low wages only because they can get away with it. So if they can't get away with it, then they would actually have to share the profits with the people who are actually working at those restaurants. So now the question for you, though, Harold, is how do you make them, right? Because if a couple people go to strike, they could get fired, et cetera. How do you mobilize enough people to be able to make this effective and actually win?
Well, we have been talking to thousands of fast food workers around the city. The vast majority of them do want to fight. They are ready to stand up. Today was just the kickoff. So, you know, it was a success today with over 200 workers across the city that stood up and said we will not tolerate living in poverty, and we will not tolerate being intimidated by the boss. So.
All right, Harold Miller, thank you, man. We appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. I like these strikes because, look, that's the only way you're going to be able to say, hey, you know what? If we all work here, we've all got to share in those profits that we were showing you. Otherwise, it's fundamentally unfair. All right, now when we come back, speaking of fundamentally unfair,